Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I'd like to give you a quick overview of our Unit 2 study of epistemology or theory of knowledge. This review should be helpful to you in preparing for the upcoming assessments. You will be asked to demonstrate understanding of the three basic theories of knowledge: skepticism, empiricism, and rationalism. In the last unit, Unit 1, we began by looking at some philosophical tools and methodology in order to help us begin constructing arguments and evaluating them. While logic can help us determine if an argument is valid, we do need knowledge to determine whether the premises of that argument are true. That knowledge, therefore, is necessary for us to determine whether the argument is sound. And we want to be able to construct arguments that are valid as well as sound if they're deductive, and simply sound if they're inductive. When we search for a definition of knowledge, we will use a classical philosophical definition which has three necessary conditions: belief, truth, and justification. We say to know something or to have knowledge is to have a true justified belief. In other words, if we know something, we believe it's so. If we know it, it's got to be true. And to say we know it, we've got to have strong justification for knowing it. The first of the major theories of knowledge that we covered is skepticism. A skeptic denies genuine knowledge is possible. Global or universal skepticism holds that no knowledge on any subject is possible. This is the most radical form of skepticism which Descartes used in his method. You can imagine that this is a little dangerous and not something that I would suggest you take as a personal philosophy. Local skepticism is a little more benign. It focuses on particular fields or methods of knowledge, of justification, and says there are certain types of things that we can have knowledge of, certain types of things that we can't. In Descartes' quest for certainty, he was the first philosopher to address whether or not we can prevent skepticism from basically undermining every claim to knowledge that there is. He created a method for distinguishing mere belief from knowledge called the method of doubt. It required him to doubt and examine all of his beliefs for certainty. When you prepare for the exam, here's what you need to be able to tell me about Descartes' method of skepticism. You need to be able to explain why he wanted to use such a radical form of skepticism. And part of it is he wanted to remove from consideration anything that had the possibility for doubt. Note, he did not set out to make all these claims false. He simply acknowledged that if there was a reasonable doubt, that he would put them aside until he approached what he considered was indubitable, undoubtable, and therefore certain knowledge from which he could build his theory of knowledge. It's to be noted, of course, that Descartes himself was a rationalist and didn't set out to prove skepticism right, although he did a pretty good job of it. One of the major examples that Descartes uses to call his experience into doubt is the dream argument, in which he reasons that if it's possible that he is dreaming, that he can't distinguish dreaming from waking, then his current perceptual beliefs may not be true. That takes care of experience, sense data. He also has an evil genius argument that he uses to doubt reason, which is not quite as strong. In the first meditation, he effectively uses the most radical form of skepticism to call basically everything into doubt. In the second meditation, he arrives at the cogito argument, which we popularly understand as I think, therefore I am. He said, I am, I exist, that everything could be doubted, but that doubt was indicative or evidence of a doubter. That even if he was being deceived, there was a he being deceived. He called that thing that exists a thinking thing, and he proceeds to build knowledge from that point using the wax candle analogy to describe how sense experience is not a great way of building knowledge, but rather we should rely on reason. We'll come back to that shortly. But it's most important to keep in mind that after calling everything in doubt, there was one thing he could not doubt, his own existence. That's a first-person proposition, by the way. You can doubt that I exist. You can doubt that you're listening to my voice on this Camtasia file right now. But you can't doubt that you exist. As long as you can make the proposition, you exist.